Well, I'm glad we're all here together. And thank you, Shima, Maria Yraceburu, for being here again. We're just soaking up her wisdom and her grinning and the transmission that she always has to share with us. So I'm super, super happy to have Maria here. And I asked her to talk to us about the Starseed Clans and to talk to us about what they are and what they mean and what we might be. And so I'm going to kind of turn it over to you, Maria, and see it. And I'm giving you guys a heads up before I do that Maria and I are leading space for a retreat again. Yes, you can come on retreat in September. I'll go find the page and I'll post it in the chat because you want to get in on this. It's going to be amazing. channelyourgenius.com/one heart. It's the one heart ceremony. Yeah. And it's 2 days on the weekend, September 13th and 14th. And we want you there.
And we won't make you dig your own grave this time.
You won't have to dig your own grave.
You can sleep outside if you want, but you don't have to dig your own grave.
You don't even have to sleep outside this time. If you'd rather get a room in town, you can. But we're going to be doing ceremony both days. So
it's going to be action-packed. So, all right. Okay, we're going to talk star nations, and I need to kind of preface this just a little bit. You know, most indigenous people that I've ever worked with track our starseed origins to the Pleiades. Okay, and that is through direct lineage of Earth. Now, we have this story, and since Jeremiah, you're gonna have to bear with me, baby. This is about women chasing men, okay? So anyway, so the story goes that Earth actually used to be the 8th sister of the Pleiades. She was the baby. And the Pleiadian sisters would go out, you know, they're known for dancing, the dancing sisters. And they go out dancing all over the universe, you know, every night, shining their beautiful rainbow lights down on whatever, right? And so the youngest sister, one night they were out dancing and they heard this mournful cry. And she asked her sisters, well, what was that? And they said, well, you know what? That's kind of out of our range. So we can't go any further than this, or we lose that gravitational pull to where we belong. We're outside our territory. And so that night they went back, and so they did this a couple nights in a row, and she kept like trying to push them a little further out and a little further out and a little further out. And after a while, one night, she just stepped across the line, right? Gravitation cut. And she just hurtled through the universe towards the sound. And it turned out to be this coyote. And he's like howling to beat the band. And she reaches down and she grabs him. And they start dancing. And she's telling him, stay with me forever. We're so madly in love. And all you have to do is never look down. Right? Just keep looking in my eyes, baby, and we'll make it. Well, sure enough, like almost as soon as she said that, Coyote looks down, right? And sees the vastness of where they are. Does not recognize the planetary star placements. So we're somewhere we don't belong, right? And so he loses his grip on her and he starts falling. And then she comes after him and catches him. And when she comes with him, there's like this pop, okay? Anybody ever watched the old what was that, the Highlander or something like that? He was a time traveler, and there'd be this big pop of white light that's called the quickening. So that's kind of what happened, and the next thing we knew, life on planet Earth began. Okay, so there's a couple of things that we talk about with this story. One, in our prophecies, it speaks to how life has happened here on Earth, how the children of the Pleiades have come in during different time zones to help populate the world, to help evolve and actually de-evolve and re-evolve the Earth. And at that 2012 placement that the Mayans talked about, we began turning Earth back towards the Pleiades. So the halfway mark in that journey has happened. And the storyline goes that now Mother is taking the children home. But it's set in motion a couple of things. It's set in motion the great expedition or experience to feel everything, good and bad. It set in motion the number one dysfunction of the planet with all human beings, which is women chase men and men don't grow up. Okay. Now we're turning that around. Okay. That's the de-evolution part. Now we're doing the evolution part. We're going home. And Mother is taking her children home to meet her family because we've been living with Dad's family all this time. So anyway, so that's just a little bit of storyline and some of the other things that come into that. And I'm sure we'll discuss many of those as we're going on. Sorry, I got a little bit of catch in my throat. With that and the tracking of the Pleiadians, most of our prophecies have to do with this Pleiadian cosmology. We don't follow astrology. We follow the cycles of Earth, which have a great deal to do with Pleiadian timing. And each of us comes here, our original great landing was as a crystal in the first world. We helped in that big kapow, right? Mm. And so you'll hear a lot of different traditions and metaphysical outlooks talking about your crystalline structure. Okay. Your crystalline structure actually has to do with your star origin. Okay. Now, I've heard people say I'm from the Ceres and I'm from the dog star, and those may be the same thing, the bear star, whatever they call it, Octurians, all those guys out there, right? That's the other side of the lineage. Okay, the way the indigenous look at it, the Pleiades mom's lineage here. Okay, she's the little sister. All of those are our aunties. And we are a maternal society. We track through Earth. Okay. So what does knowing, like which one of those Pleiadian stars are you from? We have assigned totemic qualities to each one of them. And that mirrors here on Earth, because when you hear about different tribes talking about what clan you're from, that's the mirrored image. This is the human side of it here on Earth, okay? The clan is how I do things. That's inborn in me, okay? Like I'm Snake Clan, okay? Probably the biggest thing that physically proves that is my spine. I have like this really fluid, snaky spine and always have since the day I was born. And, so I can get in and out of a lot of things, and I'm not quite a contortionist, but I can do a lot of things. So how you do things, some of your physical attributes, the nature of how you process, what physical, okay, like telepathy and stuff like that, clairsentience and all that stuff that, I often reference as supernatural powers, that the one that's alive in you that doesn't have to be developed that much, you just have to learn how to work with it, that comes through your star clan, okay? It speaks to what you need to thrive and function and manifest and create. And so you carry certain attributes of these stars. Oftentimes, it tells us what we do. What is our career choice, right? So we have what we call star codexes. And these are actually geometrical, okay, pathway patterns that are created by each of the star sisters. So like somebody that's descended from the Puma star has a timing cycle of 11, where somebody from the Wolf star only has a 7. Okay, so more steps to accomplish much of the same, right? That speaks to how we process. Does it take longer? Do we sit and mull it? Do we, you know, you do what I do. You say, hey, what do you think? And then just go. You know, that's me. I'm Snake. Okay. Snake actually has a 1 timing cycle. Okay. We don't move at all unless something necessitates it. We're like, just like hang out in the sun, enjoy ourselves. Okay. So, all right.
So a one timing cycle would mean like you just know and go.
Know and go. I ask and go. I don't
Ask,
know and go.
ask,
I ask and
ask,
then I go.
ask and go.
I
Versus
don't
someone with an
have
11.
time to ponder.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. When it's time for me to go, it's immediate.
Yeah.
Okay. So some of the things that we get out of this is also, how do we relate to people? Well, if you put a wolf and a deer together, they might like each other, but they're going to have some problems in their communications. They're going to have to figure out where there's a common ground of understanding. So when we're reading these things, we're looking at the practical aspects that we see in the actual animals that our ancestors assigned those attributes to those stars. Okay. And we learn quite a bit from that. I like to tell my grandchildren, well, you know what you are, so let's go to the zoo, let's go watch nature. You know, we are doing this, and then they see themselves in those animals and they learn more about themselves. Okay.
The idea is that your soul kind of originated from the essence of that star, and has always been of that star through lifetime to
it's
lifetime.
infinite. Okay. This is an infinite reading, lifetime to lifetime, no matter what world dynamic we're operating in. This is the stabilization of who we are. Okay. So, you know, when you hear people saying, oh, I'm not from here, and, you know, a lot of my metaphysical friends do this, I don't belong here. Half of that's true. Okay. But you do belong here because you made the choice. Okay. So Mother Earth's side, the half that humanity needs to claim right now to balance and to level the playing field, if you will, make things more stable, is actually along this line that we're going to talk about today. Okay. So how do we determine which one of those Pleiadian stars is your great auntie? That I don't know about you. My great aunties, oh my God. Okay. So you stink out of the house to go meet a boy, and they were there before you were.
They got your number. Great aunties got your number.
Hello. What you think stupid written across forehead? What do you and send you home, right? So we have these situations, and that's, you know, I'm kind of like trying to relate a relationship with that which we can't really talk about to practical terms that we know here on Earth. Okay. And that's kind of what I do with everything on that side, is if you can relate it to the practical over here, then it's easy to grab a sense of understanding with. It's easy to navigate. You know who to go to when you need help. So you don't hear no as often, and you don't end up feeling like, oh, somebody doesn't want to help me. You understand. No, you go to the person that actually has the capability of helping you.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of what some of this knowledge brings to you. Okay. So the way we track the star clan is actually through the year you were born. Okay. Every statistic on you, okay, from the point you were born at to the year you were born, to the lunar cycle you were born in, to the day you were born on, to there's 7 layers, okay? Each one tells us something about you. Okay. So, like a wolf clan. Wolf clan. Let's talk about the clans for a minute, and then we're going to find out who you are, okay? Have a little confirmation moment.
Yeah.
Okay, wolf clan, oldest sister. You know, Maya. I don't remember all the Greek names, okay? But Maya was the oldest sister, and the oldest sister was the tracker. Okay. And so when we're working our magic and we're doing things, they're the callers, they're the ones that whisper through the dream or howl. Okay. Whisper through the dream and have that human consciousness awaken to knowing there is more. They're also the pathfinders. You know, you ever seen a dog running around with its nose all to the ground? You know, that's because something else has been there and it's following, it's tracking, it's stalking power. It's finding the way. So the Wolf Clan helped pave the way, open the portal. However you want to look at that transition that got us, the rest of us here. Okay. So if you happen to be Wolf Clan, oh, you're a self-starter. You you say you're a lone wolf a lot of the time, but really you're looking for your pack. Okay, think about puppies that get separated from the pack of dogs. Same thing. Same thing, okay? Wolf set up this system of transmigrational evolution, which is this moving through the galaxies. And with that, we had learned how to communicate. We learned how to work as a team. So very leadership qualities, okay? And while there is that, I am the lone wolf over here, meaning I'm like standing tall with my tail curled. Okay, that's pride in a wolf. I'm also quite conscious of I can't do this alone. Okay, but strong sense of identity. A lot of teachers. Okay, that kind of stuff. Okay, second sister. Second sister for us is the bear. Okay, bear taught us about relationships to a deeper level. She taught us about healing because she actually helped us through the first world of de-evolution. So into the second world, which was about Lemuria. Okay, and that was actually a step down from that first situation that we came into. We're in the de-evolution. So Bear taught us about introspective healing, looking back to find what we needed, to remember who we are. She taught us about herbs because we had to learn how to take care of our physical form. So you find a lot of doctors in this. Okay. Lot of herbalists, medicine people back home. Most of the people that actually deal with physical healing, massage, our form of body work, Tilstayan, it Bear Clan oriented. And bear and snake often work together in healings back home. Very powerful medicine. Okay. So the bear also, though, has more downtime necessary to who they are. Okay. That introspective healing also means it takes longer to integrate what's happening in life than it did with the wolf. Okay. So there's also a closer relationship to the cycles of the planet. Excuse me. So that would be the bear, okay? And sometimes bear's an isolationist, and sometimes bear, of course, mama bear, I mean, who wants to fuck with a mama bear, right? Very protective of the inner child. A lot of our inner child healing is handled by bears. Trying to think what else you probably, gotta watch your diet, what you're eating, so that it supports you. I learned a long time ago, right before I met Melissa, that somebody gave us a book called Eat Right for Your Blood Type. And we found that just like with Bear having to pay attention to her diet, that when we were looking at our blood types and we're looking at our genetic lineages and what parts of the world that our family comes from, that actually really helped us with food allergies and other things. So there was a possible tracking with that. I would describe that as bear medicine. Okay, that's bear knowledge that we picked up on. Okay. Haven't been, well, except for COVID. Okay. Haven't been physically ill since we had got that book, right? But COVID kind of blew everything out of the water and you had to reorient because that was brought here so we'd mutate. Okay. That's a little more Snake Clan. And we'll get to that one here in a minute. But don't blame COVID on us, okay? Don't do that. We're here to help with it. Let me see, who comes after Bear? After Bear, we have the Eagle Clan. Okay. Eagle Clan was a lot about spirituality, okay? And most highly oriented with the time of Atlantis. Now, one of the things in our legend is that the eagle is the bird of authority. And between each of these different time dynamics, human beings were taken under the surface of the world by the ant people, who, by the way, are star beings, right? Little ant with a helmet. If you go to the Grand Canyon, there is a city that's there called the Lost City, and it actually talks about the ant people. The Hopi talk about the ant people, the Navajo talk about, everybody in that area talks about these ant people. And the understanding is that these were actually extraterrestrials that were here to help us. Okay. So with the Eagle Clan, what ended up happening with Atlantis was we started off very spiritual. And by the end of the Atlantis, we had disconnected from that spirituality. We'd started the separation from Earth, and we were moving into a more technological aspect of who we were, which also upset the balance between ego and self, okay? Which then prompted the growth of the shadow of fear. So Eagle teaches us, and this is what we try to work with a lot with the Eagle Clan, is most of the time you want to stay up here in the air current. You want to stay in the broad view of what's going on. And you don't have to get involved until you see that mouse, until there's the one little detail you're supposed to be involved in. Okay. Eagles track the cycles. So we know what time it is within our ceremonies, within our harvest. So timekeepers. They help us know that every step we take, every single day, we make life holy. In the Hopi Nation, the Eagle Clan are the priests. In ours, same thing. Diane is an actual term that probably put in motion by Eagle Clan. We have Diane in every clan, okay? I'm going to tell you there are working titles that go in every clan, but are most strongly associated with one or another, okay? Eagle taught us to ask for help. And it's the one that issues the 3 questions. Who are you? Where do you come from? And why are you here? Between each of the worlds. And we had to get permission by answering those 3 questions to once again repopulate the surface of the planet after each purification that's taken place. Okay. Now, the next oldest sister, but not the next in the lineup, okay, because at this point we've gotten taken apart. Okay, we've disassociated from the planet. So entering the 4th world, there's actually kind of a gap when you look in the spiral of the sisters, and it's the Puma's the next oldest one for us. Okay, Puma's here to help us put back together what came apart. Okay, Puma people learn confidence. They learn that individuality. They learn also that quiet strength. Think about a sexy cougar up there in the tree, okay? Nobody's gonna mess with that woman. Not even a bear likes to, okay? Although most of the time the bear will win. So the Puma is there to help us understand and stalk our power. That's where you want to go with it. Stalk our power. Now, we had a little bit of that with the wolf when we were coming in, but now it's serious with the Puma people stalking our power and finding the things that we have lost. You know, there's a trauma and we step out of body, and part of that doesn't come back. It stays out there. Okay? Now, y'all know you blacked out during some traumatic event, and that's what I'm talking about, okay? That is a soul fragmentation. Okay. We believe it's still in your atmospheric body, but it has to be stalked. You have to find it. Okay. Puma helps us find those things and bring them home. Okay. Puma's a very loving mother. Okay. Pumas don't mate for life. And most of the time, the girls, after they have the babies, will chase the boys off, because the boys will kill the babies so that they can mate again. Okay, so there's a certain amount of protection force that takes place and an understanding of timing. That during certain cycles, together, yes, in male and female aspects, and other times, no, I have to be more oriented in that masculine or more oriented in that feminine. So when we talk about the balance of energies, we're not always talking about 100% in the moment, I am this. What we're talking about is we're learning to know which one I need to be in the moment and utilizing it. Okay, that produces the balance of life and how it flows. And that's what you're looking for. Okay. Okay, so we had that, remember we had that little gap there, right? Boop. So it went and Puma's clear over here. Well, now we take a step back and there's the deer star. Okay. Puma did so much that deer had to drop back and fill in that hole. It needed to be held. Think about deer. I mean, whether you're thinking a stag up on the mountain or you're thinking mom down in the valley with the babies, everybody thinks the deer is pretty much a gentle energy. There is that stag stuff that happens. So they do know how to be, you know, the big masculine protectors. And yet even a stag is very gentle, except for rutting time. Or when a wolf comes and it has to defend its family. Okay, deer are very family oriented. And deer also work a little bit to adjust their timing cycle. Because the trilogy within is not only higher self, buck, compassionate ego, doe, and inner child, the baby, it is also past, present, and future. When we get to the 5th energy of the Pleiadian star sisters, we are actually working with how do we orient ourselves in illusional time. Okay. One thing that you'll learn from indigenous wisdom keepers is there is no time. This linear thing that we're operating from right now, one, it keeps it separate from the planet. And two, it keeps you separated from the other dimensions of reality. Okay, because it's like drawing a line in the sand, right? If you cross it, war happens. So getting from point A to point B is actually just a thought, and you don't have to move. That's the reality of time and space. So with the deer, it's really, really important for them to function fully with this unconditional love, this gentleness that, you know, is how indigenous read their medicine, that they have to keep track of their timing, right? You have to listen to your body. You have to take care of yourself and go with the flow of Earth. Melissa, talk a minute.
Yeah, we deer. I remember when Maria actually gave me my first Apache name, Gray Deer. I bristled at it because I was like, a deer? I want to be something fierce. Can't I be like a tiger or dragon or something like really sexy and important? And she was like, the deer has gentleness and there's power there. The deer energy is that Kuan Yin compassion, unconditional love, and there's nothing more powerful than that. And, you know, part of what I've learned with Maria is that these totemic energies and ways of thinking are not always like the one that you would guess. You know what I'm saying? It's more like the one that you're growing into sometimes, or the one that you're making peace with. Yeah. So even as she's describing the different energies, and you might go, oh, I'm definitely this one, I'm definitely this one. Just wait. Just wait, let's find out. Because it's not that linear, it's not that simple. Your personality may be really aligned with one of these. It doesn't necessarily mean it's where you come from.
Yeah. Yeah. Means that's the energy you're working with in this lifetime.
Mm.
Okay. But how you do it is still from that origination one. So we'll get more into that later because I'm hanging out for second half, kids. Melissa,
yeah, those of you that are in the mastermind group are going to do some more personal reading stuff a quarter after the hour. But for now, we're getting through the description so that you can learn in the collective.
So, okay. So what we have then, okay, is then it takes a big leap, almost halfway around the circle to the snake. Okay. Snake. Snake is second sight. Very sensual. Okay. We Snake Clan have always worked in how do we orient our body and the sensations of our body to tap those things like mental telepathy, sensual telepathy. That's the way I grew up, reading the signs of nature in my body. So like if there was an earthquake and I passed through a wave of energy, it would register in my body, because these natural phenomena that happen here on Earth do emit certain types of energy. And depending on who you are, you feel it in your body. Okay. And different ones of us, whether they're Snake Clan or whether they're Wolf Clan, or where it is, what the phenomena is, that's what you're tuned into. And you're all affected empathically by these events on the planet. Okay. All right. So snake is, we see through kaleidoscopic vision. We're always diagnosed with 20/20 vision, and yet, hello, that eye right there doesn't see anything here. Okay, it sees over there. This eye here sees over here. I see you. This is my land eye. This is my inner space eye. Okay. And it overlaps things. So it's like running two movies at the same time with celluloid. Okay. Oftentimes it's historic in nature. So like right after I got hit by lightning and I started having grandma come sit in me, I would look in the mirror and I'd see her staring back at me. Or I'd be in the shower taking a shower and I'd look at the tile and I'd see her doing exactly the same movements, but under a waterfall, right? And we'd reach out to touch each other, and that's when it would end. So this is snake stuff, okay? Snake stuff is, as healers, snakes are taught to enter the human body and be the rotor-rooter service. Whatever you need taken out, yeah, we're going to go gobble it up. That's transmutation. Instant, that fast. The lightning part also gave me a little bit more, which we call Clohada healing, which is actually transmitting that energy into other people's bodies. The big lightning send through you. I haven't done that, I don't think, since we did the bear ceremony at your house back in the beginning. I did one or two there. But after a while, I quit doing that because it was really hard on my body. Love the miracles, but really hard on my body. So we're going to work on those to get it together again a different way. So that's snake. Now, snakes sense most strongly the frequencies and the energies with their underbelly. Think about it. They're always on the earth. So everything's transmitted to them from that underbelly position. And they have very strong sensory muscles that are packed into their belly. I have another word in my head and it's not coming out. I don't know what it is. So anyway, they're congealed in their belly, okay? So we have spines that are highly vulnerable because we don't feel anything coming from us at the top. Very tuned into shadows, very tuned into the frequency coming from the ground. Snake people usually, I don't know exactly what to call us, whether it's mystics or whatever, but we help people see between the dimensions so that they can recognize the reality in a bigger way. You're never going to recognize the entire reality. I don't recognize the entire reality, okay? You're never going to recognize the entire reality till you hit the seventh world. And it's time for that transition because the human body we're the densest we've ever been physically. Okay. And we are now mutating into lightness again. That takes time because it's a physical form.
And we've been in the fourth world, like here we are in the fourth world, and we're now transmuting into the fifth world, just so that
we came out of the fourth world in 2012.
Okay.
We're just now starting to let go of it.
Yeah. So it's kind of like the grid came out of it, but we are very stubborn and we don't dance. So
we've been fighting, Mama. Okay. You can look at it like a breech birth. Okay. You didn't want to come into this world, even though people told you, yeah, this is where it's going to get better. Guess what? We're addicted to it, to the drama. And that's one of the things that we're looking to break right now is how do we do things without making it the big drama, without having to look back and relive every emotional moment? How do we stay focused forward? Because kids, your time is now facing the future, not the past. Okay, that's another thing that's very snake. And then the final one, we drop back. And so in between the snake and the puma, we got the condor star that sits there. Okay. Condor star is the youngest one that is actually out there in space right now. And that's the Seven Sisters. Condor teaches us that we write our own story. Okay. It's called The Ultimate Challenge, Self-Fulfilling Prophecy.
Mm.
Condor has a vast range of sight, again, like the eagle, staying focused on the big picture and where it's going, coming down when it has to, but not all the time, because it's very vulnerable on the ground as well. Okay. When you're on the ground and you're a bird, there's all these other animals that can get you. As long as you stay up here, you are king of the air currents. Okay. So maintaining that higher perspective, maintaining that vision of the path in front of us, and exerting very little effort.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
A friend of ours, Elizabeth, she sent me a video like 3 years ago, I think it was, and they had tagged a condor down in the Andes with one of those collars and the little camera. And they tracked that condor and it flew 500 miles without ever flapping its wings, just by staying in the air current and moving one little feather to, like a rowboat, to keep yourself in the current. You only dip it in the water when you need to, like, make sure you stay there so you don't come out. That's how often it moved. Okay. So we are moving towards a place in time where everything's getting easier. Even the big challenges that yesterday seemed really bad, they're like doable. And we're not running away from them because guess what Puma got us over? Procrastination. Okay. So each of these animals comes in and plays some of these roles.